And welcome back. Hopefully you enjoyed those videos. So some of you have been asking us about tutorials and some interesting points there on the videos about tutorials. So remember to keep asking your questions in the chat box. And just a quick reminder, just make sure you only share things you're happy to share. Don't put any personal information in there. So for this session, we've got Carol come back to us again from the library, and we've got Sarah joined us. Now, Sarah used to be the president of the OU Students Association. So we're going to pick her brains about what it's like being a student and helping students. Okay, so let's get cracking. We'll start with you, Sarah. So what your role as the president of the Students Association, how did that come about and how did you get involved with the OU in the first place?
Okay. So I guess if I go back to the beginning of how I got involved. So when I was growing up, my dad had done a degree with the Open University, so back right at the beginning of the OU. So when I was doing my GCSEs, instead of just studying GCSE coursework stuff, my dad gave me his maths books to study from his degree. So I learned a lot about the OU growing up. And I started with ME when I was about 14 and didn't go to traditional university, but I knew that I always wanted to do a degree at some point. And after I had my kids, I'd had severe postnatal depression. I was in a really bad place. And I just got to the point I was like, right, my kids are at school now. I need to do something for myself. And I want to do a degree. And my only option was the Open University. My determination was I'd just sit behind my computer screen. I wouldn't get involved in anything. It was a great place for me to just be my normal introvert self. Well, at that point, my normal introvert self, and learn, which is what I wanted to do. And then I got nosy, and I had a look at the Students Association website, realised there was a community of students out there who were all feeling pretty much the same as me, and were there to help each other. And so I got involved with the Students Association. So I started my degree in 2017. 2018, I got elected as the faculty rep for Wellbeing Education and Language Studies, and I spent 2 years doing that. And then I decided I'd stand as president, and I've spent 2 years doing that. So yeah, very much involved.
Well, it's amazing that you choose the OU because you can keep at a distance and not get involved, and then you end up probably in the most involved role that there is you can have as a student. So, but that, you know, but again, you weren't forced to do it. It's an opportunity, and that's what I love about the study that we do. You can take these opportunities, and you can do as much or as little as you want to do. So how did you find the tutorials? We've had lots of questions about tutorials. So when are the tutorials? When can you attend them? So how did you manage the tutorials?
So I suppose I found the tutorials you could do everything without going to a tutorial, but the tutorials help you to sort of understand what you've just been learning and actually have that opportunity to ask questions in real time with somebody who was an expert in their field. And that was the biggest part. And also joining with other students who are all studying the same topic, all asking the same questions. And sometimes you didn't feel like you could ask a question because you thought it was a silly question. Somebody else would come along and ask it. So it was a great opportunity for that community of learning to take place. Some of the tutorials were on Saturday mornings. Some of the tutorials were on evenings. Some of them were other times during the day. So there's various times that you could go to them. And when I first started, obviously there was a lot more face-to-face because it was pre-pandemic. So there was ones that were face-to-face, but there was also those that were online. And for me, if there was an in-person tutorial, it was a great opportunity to go and meet other students and actually learn in the same space as other students. And for some of my degree, it was vitally important that I did that. But they're all over the place. Sometimes it isn't your tutor doing the tutorial, so sometimes you can pick a tutorial that isn't your tutor, but it's the same information being given, and it's somebody who's an expert in that field still. So don't be worried about going to a tutorial that isn't necessarily your tutor. Just as long as you keep accessing those tutorials, it's really important because it helps to solidify the education that you're getting.
Absolutely. And we like to make access to the tutorials as easy as possible. So we heard Robert in the previous session talk about the student homepage and the module homepage. Yeah. And there is a link at the top of that, which is just called tutorials. You click on there and there are all the opportunities, all the information you need about where the tutorials are and how to book them. And we try and make them as accessible as possible. We pick a variety of days, variety of times. Sometimes we have a whole day that covers a lot of information, or we might break that down into 2 separate online sessions. But yeah, so we're glad you find them really useful. You've also got the widget on the screen at the moment, which is talking about the USA website, so the OU Students Association website. So let us know if you've been to it yet. Oh, actually, we've got the results. So, yes, 67% of you have already been there, and the remaining 33%, it's on your to-do list. So some of the things that you can find out from there, and we've, not least of all, how to get your totem card, but also past papers. That's where you go if you want any previous exam papers, and they can be downloaded from the website. So what other things can we get from the Students Association, Sarah? What sort of help do you provide or advice do you provide? Because we talked to the student support team representative earlier, but these are students, so why is it different?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of student community. I've talked a little bit about student community, and that is what the association is. It's the student community. So there's lots of groups. So there's there's OU Pride. There's the LGBTQ, which is the LGBTQI plus group. There's the Black and minority ethnic group. Oh, look at me there. There's the disabled students group, and then you've got societies. So there's a space society. There's various different societies that you can go and join. There's also clubs. So on Facebook, there's a massive club called OU Fit. So if you want to keep track of what you're doing, there's a whole massive community of students that track their fitness on there. So there's lots of different things to access. There's also at the minute they've also got their own freshers events that are get my teeth in that are introducing students to the different things that they do. So if you have a look on their website at the moment, there's also lots of volunteer roles that are available. So you could go and volunteer at graduation. You could volunteer as a meetup host. You've lots of different opportunities on there. There's also a list of where you can get help for different things, including there's a link to USET. So I'm currently the chair of USET, which is the Open University Student Educational Trust, and we help students in financial hardship. So there's a link to that, so you can go and look at that if you're struggling with things, monetary wise. Come and have a look, see if you're eligible. And also on the USET link, there's a link to where else you can get grants or other hardship funds. So there's all kinds of really useful student information on there. And the last thing that I just want to mention that's on there is there is a student leadership team that is elected every 2 years. And they work with the university to make sure that your student journey can be the best that it can be. And they have their reports on there. You can find out what they do. If you've got a specific issue, there's links to how you can talk to the person that you need to talk to, and you can contact them. So go on the website, go and have a good look around. There's also one of the best things that I did as president was I helped to celebrate 50 years of the Students Association. So there's lots of stuff to do the 50th on there as well, and all the different ways that students have been helped by the Students Association over the last 50 years.
And as we can see with you here today, once you once you begin your journey with the OU, it can take you in all sorts of unexpected different places, which is fantastic.
Yes.
Before we move on, I'm going to move on to Carol in a second. Before we move on, I want to give a plug for tomorrow night. So we've got our Freshers Social tomorrow night. And the social is basically me and Jacob, and we're going to be hosting an OU themed quiz, and you're all invited. You can go to the Student Hub Live webpage and you can sign up. And it's just going to be a fun time to have some chats, talk about student experiences, talk about you and what you're up to. So it won't be themed on anything particular in terms of a study focus, but it's just a social time to get together. So that's 7 o'clock tomorrow night. We would love to see you all there, and there are plenty of things to get involved with tomorrow. We've got Carol back now. So Carol, we spoke earlier about access to the OU library, and of course not everybody can get to Milton Keynes.
Yeah, that's right.
And we've had a few questions about accessing local libraries. So could you tell us how students can do that?
Yeah, so there's a great scheme called the Sconnell Access Scheme, which enables OU students to use and borrow books from other participating university libraries. So there's a link on the homepage of our website, which you can go to check if the institution that you want to use actually participates in the scheme. And then you just fill a form out. It does take a few weeks, so if you want to join, make sure you do it quite early. And not every university library takes part in the scheme, but the majority of them do. And it just means that you can have that university experience of going into a library, using resources in print if that's what you want to do. Some of the institutions will provide you with IT access, some provide you with access to their e-resources, but again, each individual institution has their own access rules for Sconnell students. So if you want to double check what kind of access you can get through a particular university, it's best to contact them first. But it is a really great scheme because it means that you can go and access a university library for your studies. You do have to be on a 30 credit module or more to be able to register. And I've got to stress that you've got to follow the regulations of the particular university library that you're using. So if you borrow books, then you've got to make sure that you return them in time according to their rules and things like that. But yeah, you should really take advantage of that if that's something that you'd want to do.
And obviously you can use the library as a study space, a quiet place to go and do the work.
Absolutely. So if you're struggling for space at home, it's ideal because you can get out of the house, and a lot of the libraries are open 24 hours a day, so you can go and access them for study space whenever you want. So it's a good way of getting that university feel around your course as well if you can't access the library in Milton Keynes.
Excellent. We're going to go over to Heidi in a second. So get ready, Heidi, to fill in some of the comments. Maybe there's some questions coming in that we can get the team to answer. But good to see that Robin's looking forward to the social tomorrow. Swayze's booked her ticket. And so is Melissa. So excellent. We're looking forward to that. So we've got any questions, Heidi? Is there anything that we haven't covered yet that we can cover in the last few minutes?
Do you know what, Rob? I think we have done really well. We have covered so many of the questions that there's honestly no more remaining on there. So if anybody does have any other questions, do please feel free to pop them in the chat. But no, we seem to have covered all of the questions. It's just been so fantastic to see the level of engagement. Robin has just talked about some of the groups that they have joined up to, just following on what Sarah was saying then about the different clubs and groups that are available. And that's something that I would really recommend. So yeah, do go and have a look. And then if there's anything that takes your fancy, do of course sign up. But no, not in terms of questions. We don't have anything else in at the moment.
Okay, so no, that's fantastic. I'm going to come back to Sarah then. So Sarah, earlier on, we were talking about tips for students. So this is going to put you on the spot now. Top 3 tips for a brand new student. What tips do you wish you'd been told when you started?
Don't worry.
Don't worry.
As a brand new student, everybody, you're all in the same space. Don't worry, you know. And on that is kind of, this is your student journey. It's not anybody else's. It's yours and yours alone. Don't measure yourself against anybody else. Don't, if they're going too fast or going too slow or getting so much on their TMA, on their assignments, and you're only getting this much. Don't worry. This is your student journey. This is your space to learn. And I guess build that relationship with your tutor. It's so important to have a good relationship with your tutor. When you don't communicate with your tutor, you're not going to get anywhere. And I heard in the last session that one of the tutors said, we're not mind readers. And your tutor is not a mind reader. If you're struggling and you don't tell them, they are not going to know. If you have a life event that happens that affects your studies, tell them. They'll be able to either just offer you a little bit of encouragement, point you in the direction of somebody who can help you. You know, they're amazing. So really, you know, don't worry about where you are. This is your student journey, and get to know your tutor.
Absolutely. I'm just seeing a note coming through from David as well, which fits in really well with what you've just said. He says, David has a notice in front of him that says, have fun, do not stress. This is supposed to be an enjoyable time. It's not meant to be a chore that you struggle your way through. I refer to it as eating glass, basically jumping through till you get to the end. You're supposed to enjoy it, and that's what we really want. All of the messages today are coming out with very similar points, which is talk. If you've got a problem, talk to somebody. That's what we're there for. There's lots and lots of support. And don't worry that you're not quite sure who to talk to, because we're very good at linking you up to the best people to talk to. So if you're not sure, is this a question for my tutor, or is this a question for the student support team? Don't worry. Ask one of them. And if there's somebody better to talk to you, we're very happy to say, well, this is what you should be doing. But actually, this person will give you exactly what you need. And I keep coming back to this. The only thing we can't help you with is the thing that you don't tell us about. The more you tell us, the more we can help. Life happens, and it's going to happen to you during your studies. And we will deal with it. We are good at dealing with it, so talk to us about it. And so,
sorry,
while I've got a minute,
that just made me laugh.
Why
true.
did that make you laugh, Sarah?
I started my studies in 2017 and finished them in the pandemic. So, you know, life just happens around us. But, you know, we're all there to support each other, and your tutor's just the most important person to contact if you're struggling with those things. And it just made me smile when you said that particular thing.
Excellent. So Heidi, is there anything that we need to pick up our last visit to the chat pod? Is there anything there that we need to mention?
Yeah, just a quick question from Michelle asking, when should we hear from our tutors?
Oh, that's a really good question, and it's not a simple answer. You should hear from your tutors at least the week before your module is due to start. However, because we extend the registration dates, sometimes we are still allocating groups right up to that last week. So sometimes if the tutor is allocated very early, you'll hear early. But don't worry if it's getting to that last week and you haven't heard. It's simply because the allocation can happen very late. So it really depends on when the tutor knows about you. On the odd occasion, it has been 5 days before the module starts before I've been given the students' names. So yeah, but in other cases, it's been 3 weeks before. So it's not very helpful, I'm afraid, but what I'm saying is don't panic if it's a couple of weeks to go and you haven't heard. What you can do, though, is you can go to your module forum and start chatting with other students. Most modules have a big forum that you can take part in. That's one that isn't run by your specific tutor, but you can at least start having some discussions there. And then your tutor, as soon as they know about you, they will be in touch. But it's the nature of the beast that because we don't always find your names out early, it could be quite close. So apparently there is a feedback form. There's a link to the feedback form in the chat box. So we really want to know what you thought of this session. Does it make you feel better? I really hope you feel better, not worse, after spending an hour and a half with me, but hopefully let us know, because that's how we're going to improve. And I'd just like to say, Carol, Sarah, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm sure everybody found your insights and your thoughts really helpful. And Heidi, as always, you've been a star. Thank you for looking after the students. And everybody out there, go and sign up for tomorrow's social, especially with my version of Where's Wally. It's actually called Where's Bobby, but you'll see when you turn up tomorrow. So you've been fantastic. It's goodbye from the Study Shack, and I'll see you all tomorrow night.